Hey, this is Grahm, and you are listening to Grahm Radio. Check out our website, grahamradio.com. There you have every past episode of Grahm Radio. And if you click on the music tab, you can stay updated on the latest mixes and playlists. Also, check out our merch by clicking on the merch tab. We have Grahm Radio hats, shirts, and more. It's all on grahamradio.com. And now, here's a new episode of Grahm Radio. All right, and we're on.
Oh my God, what an intro.
I know, right? Hello, Ryan Sweeney.
Hello, Levi Graham Weinstein.
What is I don't even know.
I don't know what your name is anymore.
Dude, yeah.
You have a lot of pseudonyms.
I know. I'm sort of having an identity crisis. Levi Graham Weinstein. Fine. Yeah.
And so is this Grahm Radio?
This is Grahm Radio.
Okay. That's
yes.
what I thought.
Welcome. Now that you're sitting here, I've had all the members of South Post on.
You have?
I know.
But you had them a while ago now.
Yeah.
You've had a lot.
The first time
in between.
The first time I had Angelo on was when I still did the podcast out of this house.
Yeah. You didn't even live in Tampa yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And then
Logan too.
Yeah, and Logan. Yeah, I think Ange was like episode maybe in the 20s. Logan was in the 40s, and now you're I think you're 160 or something.
Damn, that's a lot.
I know. It's a lot.
You probably did that in December when they were home.
Yeah.
So you've done 120 or 30 in the last 10 months.
Yeah. I actually, I did the math on it, and I have a week full of audio or at least audio and a lot of video online for people to listen to. And when I say a week, I mean 7 24-hour intervals of time.
Which is a lot.
It's a lot of Levi.
Yeah.
It's so much.
Is it too much?
Sometimes people just say an hour with me is too much. So.
Nah, I can handle you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see how long we go.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. It's a lot. Yeah. I don't know. I think just listening to me talk for 7 straight 24-hour intervals would be too much Levi.
You got to find the one person who's listened to all.
I have a buddy. I have a buddy who's listened to every single one of my podcasts.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never done that with any podcast.
Yeah?
I don't think so.
What podcast have you listened to the most?
History of Hyenas.
Oh my God, with Chris DiStefano.
Yeah, and Giannis Pappas.
I've
listened through all of the available episodes, but they have an entire Patreon world of bonus episodes that it might be double the amount of content. So
how much is it for the Patreon?
Oh, it's just, there's different tiers. So the $5 tier, you get a certain amount of, content, and then there's 10, 15. So I don't even know how much you would get with the $5 one, but
why not dive into it?
I'm going to.
Okay.
Because I just finished everything that's available for free, but they ended the podcast, but it's still available. It was really sudden, and no one really knows the reasoning why. It's kind of weird. But you could still join Patreon, even if a podcast ends. You can still join it and get all the content. Sometimes they'll end up just releasing all of it anyways.
That's cool.
Free.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I know that Chris DiStefano does a podcast with one of the Impractical Joker guys.
Yeah,
now.
Sal Bacano.
Yeah, I've never gone into it and watched it, but I
haven't
the
yet
clips.
either. Yeah, I mean, anything with him is going to be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so sad that podcast ended, because I had just started getting into it in March, and they ended it in March. Damn. So the minute I finally gave it a chance, it ended.
Something that comes out of that is the merch all of a sudden becomes way more exclusive, because now you can't buy it. Yeah,
I think they still have a few items left online that you can, but once it's sold out, it's sold out.
Yeah.
They're not going to make new ones.
Yeah. I'm a huge merch slut.
Are you?
If there's a brand that I really, really like, have you heard of Selection?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah. So Selection is an artist collective out of LA. Every single week they put out a music mix, and it's very neo soul, very R&B rap. They have over 500 episodes, and every single one is phenomenal. Their merch is supreme. You cannot get Selection merch because it sells out in less than a day whenever they put out merch.
Yeah.
And a couple days ago, I went on their merch Instagram, and they it's so fucking random. They put out maybe 6 or 7 hats that are old hats. They did a bunch of cool shit for episode 500, and I got a episode 500 Selection sweater. It was expensive, but really, really worth it. They released the Selection 400 hat, so I copped one.
Damn.
I know.
Are they expensive?
I know. And they put them out for the low. They literally said on Instagram, we're putting these out for the low. I'm like, oh, shit.
Dude, everything is about, like, me and Angela were talking about it recently.
Yeah.
That making anything exclusive, you know, limited supply is just such a smart marketing tactic because even Era, you know, Era's a metal band. They're big within the metal world, but metal's not huge. But, like, they just put out it was like a wind jacket.
Yeah.
And it was like $100-something.
Okay.
For a metal wind jacket, and they sold out instantly because they were like exclusive supply. You know, and it's just like I feel like that's you could mark things up if you're going to make it exclusive supply, even if you're going to end up releasing more later. It's just a smart marketing tactic.
Yeah, it's super smart.
I mean?
Yeah. That makes me think of like NFTs. Because with an NFT, it's like there's a very, very limited supply of what we're giving out.
Same concept.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I mean, you can just go on Google Images and print it out, or you can actually like buy it and own it. You know?
I know. Yeah.
Well, you know, you just rolled. Wait, hold on. You just rolled your eyes at NFTs. What's up?
No, I mean, from what I know of them, because Mikey works in that space now.
Does he? Cool.
Yeah, he works for a company that does it, and I'm not rolling my eyes at it, but I just think there's aspects of it that are obviously ridiculous.
Like what?
Like buying a pixelated image.
Yeah, but there's more to it.
There's more to it. I agree. I'm being a little ignorant.
I mean, is it ridiculous to buy a painting on a canvas?
I mean,
okay, here's something, right? I paint something on a canvas.
Yes.
And I sell the original, or I have the original on sale for $1,000. Or I have a printed version of it that looks exactly the same for sale for $25. Like, is it ridiculous to buy the painted one?
I mean, yeah, it's all about wanting the original copy, you know? You're right. But I find so much more value in something that was actually painted by hand than something that was created on some, you know, art
on like Photoshop or something.
On Photoshop, right?
Okay.
You know, I mean, but who am I to say that other people don't?
Right.
But I also think that people just see it as an investment, you know, an investment tool. Like, it's literally, does the pixelated image have any actual value, or is it just being completely driven by demand because people are using it as literally an investment tool?
Well, what is value?
That's where I'm wrong, because there's so many things that I could sit here and be cynical about and say they don't have any value because I don't believe in the bullshit reasons why people want it.
Right.
But it still has value.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
exactly.
Everyone puts value into things for their own reason.
Yeah. Like, you know? I might not I don't give a fuck if I ever drive a super nice car. And I might think everyone who wants to is an idiot.
Right.
But who am I to say that it doesn't have value just because I don't feel it does? You know, it obviously does.
Yeah.
Because other people value it.
Of course. I mean,
so you're right. It's just such a new space that it's easy to roll your eyes at certain aspects of it, but I'm still wrong. There's still money to be made in it. There's still a market for it.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm wrong. I think I'm being overly cynical.
I mean, dude, I think that it just depends on what kind of job you want. Because let's say that you just buy NFTs to resell. Okay, cool. Then you're basically a stockbroker for art. You're an art broker. That's cool. But what if you want to open up a digital art gallery? No,
there's cool. Really cool aspects to it. Like everything that Mikey has told me, there's some that I'll point at and be like, Mikey, that's so dumb and probably won't exist in 3 years. And he's like, yeah, maybe. But then there's other ones that, I mean, there's like Fortune 500 companies jumping on this. There's high-end celebrities and, you know, people in the business world who are hopping on it. So there's obviously value and there's money to be made. Like, I think maybe it was, I mean, I'm so stupid when it comes to rap, but it was...
Ask me. I know some rappers.
Tory Lanez?
Yeah, I've heard of him. He killed Megan Thee Stallion. Or he didn't kill
shot her in the foot.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't him, but let's just go with that.
It was.
No, but somebody in the rap space created an NFT for one of their albums, and they just released it. And
I don't understand that. Like,
I don't fully understand either. We need Mikey here.
What?
We need Mikey here for this.
We need Mikey here? Okay. Yeah. I mean, we can call him.
Maybe later.
Yeah, I'm saying maybe later. I just don't understand how music NFTs work, because I can understand how art NFTs. I don't know. Whatever.
He's basically saying it like tracks the royalties better. So it's like if I release I don't know if the proper terminology is, if I NFT my album or whatever, and then I release a limited amount of copies on it online, and then you buy them starting at $1, and then you resell it, that I'll basically make royalties on all the resale value of it.
So here's my question about that. How are people listening to it? Because to the best of my knowledge, there is not an NFT streaming service.
That's what I don't know. And I never asked Mikey about that because that's a good question. What, are you just getting the MP3 file in an encrypted folder?
Right.
It's yours? I have no idea. And then what? He's never going to put that stuff up on YouTube or any streaming platforms. So
I mean, well, I mean, maybe
exclusive.
Maybe he's just maybe it would be good for sync licensing, because if Coca-Cola buys an NFT,
that is a big reasoning for it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
that
would
track
make
of
sense.
The licensing.
Yeah,
from people using it for their own money making ways, basically.
Yeah, man. Like if fucking Afrojack, like when was the last time you heard of Afrojack?
Yeah, I forgot he existed.
Yeah, no, he's huge in the NFT space. No, I have no fucking idea. Like if Afrojack puts out a song and then NFTs it, and like Coca-Cola or whatever uses it in their Super Bowl commercial, then cool, it's a fucking awesome Afrojack like thing. Maybe it's better for like just little sounds and stuff. You know what I mean? Little things like that.
Like background stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, what else can you NFT?
I don't know. I mean, I'm starting to speak out of my ass a little bit. I truly don't know a lot about it, but
this is basically the armchair NFT expert podcast.
Literally.
Now.
Yeah. I hope everyone learned something. But I mean, dude, here's the thing is like it all started from me rolling my eyes at it, but like I really shouldn't even roll my eyes at it.
Dude, you kind of convinced me, man. NFTs sound pretty stupid.
This
thing that I know nothing about really sounds dumb.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? If people like it, they like it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, I guess, obviously I'm interested in how it'll influence the music space.
Yeah.
Eventually. Because I don't like streaming, and I do and I don't.
Tell me.
Like, I mean, this is also, like, me and Logan will always debate this.
Okay.
He thinks streaming is great. It is great. I think I like to argue against the negatives of streaming, and which is obviously
what are the negatives of streaming? Take a sip of your Dunkin' Donuts. It looks like you want to take a sip.
Wow, that's good.
Nice.
It's pumpkin season.
Ooh, pumpkin season.
Yes. Dude, I didn't know you had sound effects.
Oh, I have some sound effects.
Yeah. Well, if I get boring, just hit one of them.
Okay.
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 Yeah, that could be like my alarm. That's like and if I talk about NFTs again, hit one of them.
Okay.
So, I mean, it obviously pays terribly.
Yeah.
Like if you're a huge artist.
All right. Sorry, you're getting boring.
Dude, I mean, here's the perfect example. There's a reason, like people used to always call Taylor Swift greedy.
Right.
For not putting her music up on streaming platforms for years. Mm-hmm. But she had a reason. It's because it fucking doesn't pay shit. It's like she has such a high demand for her music. Why would she put it up on a streaming platform when she can probably get way more purchases out of keeping it on, like
iTunes.
Traditional iTunes or whatever platform you have to actually purchase.
Isn't it funny how like iTunes is now traditional?
I know, and I never even think of iTunes.
Dude, I buy music off iTunes probably every single fucking day.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely more value in that. I mean, I think it's 0.006 cents per stream or maybe even less. So it makes sense for big artists. They're like, why would I put it up? It's like, well, I'm going to make $6,000 for every million streams. I think that's what the ratio is.
No, is it that? I thought it was like low. For every, I don't know. Jamie, look that up.
Yeah, we need a Jamie.
Yeah.
But
wait, here. Emmett! Come here.
Maybe we can get him to look it up. No, text him, say, look up the streaming.
Emmett! Come here. We have a task for you. We need you to be our little Jamie. Hey, Squiggy. Squiggy's back on the pod. We need you to look up how many cents a stream is. Can you just fucking do it? I'm in the middle of a podcast. Can you just look up...
How much money would you make off 1 million streams?
Yeah.
On Spotify?
Yeah, figure that out. If you can figure that out, then I don't know. I'll leave you alone. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Emmett.
But yeah, so I think that's... I mean, regardless of what it is, it's just... It doesn't translate really well, obviously. Right. But obviously, the huge positive is that more people have a voice than ever. It's like... Yeah. Anyway, it's so much easier to put music out there to get people to hear it.
It's so great.
It's great for that.
Here's the positive side of streaming. Like,
it has more positives than negatives. 1,000%.
There's a concept called so when you're deciding how you want to make money, there's something called like a winner-take-all business. Music is a winner-take-all business as opposed to like being a carpenter. So in a winner-take-all business, there's a ton of players and only a few of them are actually successful, and those few are taking it all.
Well, that's how it used to be in music.
Okay.
And I think streaming has made it less of that, which is great.
Well, I would disagree.
Really?
Yes, because you're correct. A lot more people are making money off of music,
yes, yeah.
but a lot more people are also attempting to make money off of music because it's so
it's
easy.
Way more saturated. Yeah.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. Way more.
Like let's say, and I'm going to use very, very incorrect numbers. Let's say in the year 1990, there were 100 artists. One of them. Or probably let's say there was let's say that there were 100,000 artists.
Yeah.
One of them was making money off of music. Yes. Like one of them. Now there's a billion artists and like
that was
100 of them.
That was going to be one of my other negatives besides the money.
Right.
Was while it makes it so much easier to put your music out there, it's the same argument where like people be like, now with social media everyone has a voice, but not everyone's kind of meant to have a voice. It's like there's too many voices. Mm-hmm. We have too many opinions.
Shout out to the Grahm Radio podcast. I hope that one day my voice matters.
No. Your voice matters.
Thank you.
But you know how people say that?
Wait.
Wait.
So you make 0.004 cents per stream, so it's like $4,000.
Yeah. See, it's low.
Is that so? What's 0.0049? Wait, what was it?
0.004.
0.004 cents per stream.
Oh, so what's 0.004 times a million? Is that 7,000?
4,000.
4,000? Sorry, I need a calculator. I'm a lawyer, not a CPA, even though I'm Jewish.
I'm a CPA, so.
Oh shit, you're a CPA?
Sadly.
Oh, nice.
Yep, it's 4,000.
It's 4,000. Okay,
yeah.
So off of 1 million streams, you make 4,000.
Yeah.
With all this being said, and something that you're going to agree to is that the awesome thing about Spotify is that you allow people to put you in what I call in your pocket. Like you can just click Spotify, you have immediate access to your favorite artist, and you can just put your phone in your pocket, put your headphones in your ears, and listen to it. And that's so fucking cool.
Yeah, it's so easy.
It's so easy. And then there's just so many like other ways to make music as an artist. Like, do you know who Ari Herstand is?
No.
Ari Herstand is this baller music marketer. He's also a musician, and he has this book called How to Make It in the New Music Business. And every single chapter literally gives you tangible action items to complete. For example, one of them is, and I've actually read this on the podcast before. I've given this book to artists to read on the podcast and had them read. It takes like 5 minutes to read. It talks about how it's important to know your fans, but more to the point, it's important to know exactly who your fans are. Like, build the model of your fan, and you literally gives you a list. They go to coffee shops and they wear Doc Marten boots and flannel shirts, and they drive there in their 2004 Toyota Corolla. Like, what that translates to is they're hipsters who don't make a lot of money, or they're like long-haired dudes with beards with like fat ex-girlfriends who talk shit about them. Like seriously, like the more that you can really narrow down your fans, the better you'll be at marketing your music.
Well, that's why now it's like, I mean, I went to a show the other night for a band I love.
What show?
Hail the Sun.
Cool.
And I mean, they only have like 200,000 monthly listeners, which isn't a ton. I mean, obviously, I wish I had that, but it's not a ton in the grand scheme of artists who have quote unquote made it. And then the show we went to, it was in a small town in California. It was in Santa Cruz, California. So obviously, it was going to be one of their smaller shows of the tour. It's not going to be as big as LA or
more exclusive.
Or yeah, that's true. But yeah, there weren't a lot of people there. So then I was thinking, like, how much money can they possibly be making off the show tonight? You know, it kind of like made me feel like, shit, this sucks for them. But what you're saying is true now, and I think that like the internet and streaming has made this more true than ever, that you can really narrow down who your customer base is, and then merch is really where you're making your money, and you could really target merch to those people and really target like more exclusive items and you know,
your aesthetic, what you look
like. Yeah, stuff like that, to where you could build like this nationwide customer base that you have, and you don't even need that many people to really support yourself. You know what I mean? Like, you could keep it going without having the craziest streaming numbers, as long as you have like a strong, loyal fan base who wants to buy shit from you and will go see you every time you come through town.
Dude, actually, when Andrew's on the pod, he said something that really resonated with me, which is your real fans will always buy merch when you drop it.
Yep. Yeah, it's that same concept. And now it's easier than ever to find those fans, obviously. Because back in the day, it kind of was like all or nothing, it seems like. I mean, obviously, I didn't grow up in that era and I didn't work in the space, but I would imagine it was like radio or nothing. I mean, where else are people going to hear you if they weren't hearing you on the radio back
then? But
yeah,
if they're seeing you live, then they heard you on the radio.
Usually. Or if they just went to a small local show, they might hear you and say, wow, the band was good, but then they might never hear you again.
Yeah.
Where now you can go to a small local show, and then you could just go straight to their Spotify and listen to them. They might never make it in music, but you'll always be able to listen to their music.
Exactly.
You know, back then you might see a local band that you really like, and then they just disappear because they didn't make it.
You know, and now what we've pivoted to is something very important to talk about that I love talking about: consistency. Let me tell you a little story. In 2015, I was driving from Tallahassee to Gainesville for maybe it doesn't really matter why. And my buddy Jerry texted me a podcast to listen to. He texted me an episode of the Joe Rogan Experience with Graham Hancock. I had heard of Joe Rogan. I had watched Fear Factor, and I knew that Joe Rogan had a podcast. I had never gone and listened to it. I listened to the podcast, and it was an awesome podcast. I really, really fucking enjoyed it, and I thought that it was awesome. From the time that podcast ended until late 2017, I did not listen to a single Joe Rogan podcast. I didn't even think about like getting into his podcast. I was just like, oh, cool, yeah, I listened to that once, like whatever. Yeah. And then when I got back into Joe Rogan, I was like, oh yeah, I remember listening to that. I remember how much I enjoyed that. Now, that translates to what you just said, which is like, you know, you can go to a local show and see someone awesome, and then if they don't make it, then whatever, then they don't make it. But just because you don't make it doesn't mean that you can't be consistent. So let's say that you go to a local show now in 2021, October, 24th, 2021. And you really, really enjoy their show. Like, okay, let's make this actually tangible. Let's say that you go to Shuffle on a Tuesday night in Tampa, Florida, and you see Mike Mass and Psych Montano perform. Those are two people who are phenomenal MCs. Their bars are insanely good, and they are real rappers. If they just continue to put out music, and 5 years later, they have like 2 or 3 albums under their belt, and they pop up on your TikTok Explore page, you're going to remember how much you like them. And when you listen to them now, it's going to tap into that same feeling that you had when you saw them at Shuffle.
And there's also content for you to go to explore.
Yeah, exactly. That's what happened with me and Joe Rogan. That's what happened with me and Soul Lection. That's what happened to me and the Grateful Dead. Like these periods where I listen to them a little bit, I get a little taste. Una probita, which is, that's hilarious that I just said a little taste. Una probita is actually these Spanish mixes that I've made. I have 5 of them, which are phenomenal. Anyway, you get a little taste, and then a couple years later, you rediscover them. And all of the work that artist put in, those extra 700 podcasts that Joe Rogan did in between when I wasn't and when I started listening to them, that extra like 2 or 3 crazy pieces of content that took them days to make, that is the difference between them being completely forgotten by me. Oh yeah, I listened to a Joe Rogan podcast. What happened to him? Versus, yeah, I listened to a Joe Rogan podcast, and now he has these amazing podcasts. Like me not caring versus me caring.
Yeah, and there's actually a band. Have you ever heard of American Football?
No.
Me, Angelo, and Logan love them. They're actually an example of a band who made it years later because of streaming. So they came out with an album in 1999.
Damn.
Yeah, like they're older. They're probably in their 40s. And they just didn't make it, you know, like, because back then, like we're saying, it was super hit or miss. Like their music didn't gain traction, and they just didn't really make it. So they all went on to live like their normal lives, had normal jobs, had families. And then when streaming came about, they put their music up on streaming platforms anyways, just to have it up. And it caught
fire.
Yeah, it caught fire. And then people started demanding more music from them, but they hadn't made music in 15 years. So they put out their first album 15 years later because of the demand online. And they were like, we never thought it would ever, become a part of our lives again, that band. So then now they put out 2 more albums. And
how are they? Are they solid?
Oh, I love them. One of my favorite bands. Awesome. They just put out a song with Haley Williams from Paramore.
No way.
Like, they've gotten to that point. So like it just shows you that platform and just being able to put it out in the internet space. You never know when something might catch on, when there's always something for people to go to where, if the streaming platforms didn't exist, they would have just not made it in 1999 and that's it.
I mean, dude, let's talk about vinyls, Like it gives people like these streaming platforms give people such a chance. Like exactly what you just said. Before streaming platforms, you had like vinyls and CDs, a lot of which never made their way to these streaming platforms. So in order to get rediscovered like that, you had to be like some fucking hipster wearing Doc Martens in a fucking like vinyl store, like looking through, and your album art better have been fucking good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I actually
that's what catches your eye when you're
Dude, there's this vinyl called King Kong. It's by someone named John Luke Ponty, and that album is a collection of jazz renditions of Frank Zappa. And dude, this album is so fucking good. The only reason that I know it exists is because the artwork caught eye. The artwork was so cool.
Yeah.
I looked at it. And, that actually reminds me. South Post. That first album with the plane.
Yeah.
Either you or someone told me that you didn't know that image existed beforehand.
None of us did.
Not okay.
Which I feel like an idiot because it's weird. It's like the minute we had that artwork made for us, I started seeing that image everywhere online.
Oh my God.
It's in Iceland, right?
I have no fucking idea.
Yeah, it's in Iceland.
But I remember after when I saw your album artwork, I was like, yo, that is so cool.
No, it's a real spot.
Yeah, it's a real place.
I think the guy literally just took a real image. Maybe. I mean, I don't even think the guy who was standing on top of the plane in the image was even edited in. I think he just made it look like he edited the photo as a whole to make it look a little more like fake and surreal, like an actual work of art. But I think it was just like a real photo. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, now we've gone with... It's so easy to find artwork now.
Oh, yeah, it's everywhere. Have you heard of NFTs?
Oh, my God. But, yeah, I mean, literally, like, we just go on Instagram, and you can find so many artists who are selling their artwork for, like, $100.
Yeah.
A picture. It's so easy.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good artists out there.
By the way, if we're talking about this, I got to give a shout-out to Sophia Ballaston. She made the first Grahm Radio logo. I don't use it as much anymore. Maybe I'll bring it back one day. But that image, that great image of my face with the glasses, and my crazy eyes, she made that, and we made a deal, and like I purchased the exclusive rights to that photo, which is great.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
yeah. Shout out to so big shout out to her. But yeah, there's so much art.
She's really good, by the way, because we had gone to her a few times. Angelo handles all that.
Nice.
I'm super lazy when it comes to certain aspects of the band. Art's definitely one of them. Angela handles all that. So I know he had gone to her for a few things, but she's really good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
From everything I've seen.
She really is great.
Yeah.
What were we talking about? How did we get to Sophia? I know that I just took a hard left, but what was it?
You brought up the
artwork.
First artwork.
But something about, yeah.
Just how much it matters.
Exactly.
I mean, dude, when I'm shopping
really
for beer in a grocery store, the can makes me look at one, the artwork on the can matters to me. It's like, with all these craft beers and everything like that. So it just matters in every aspect. In music, it's whatever catches your eye.
Yeah.
It matters a lot.
And it's great when the art gets it right.
Yeah.
Like I think that a perfect art, like album art, is Graduation by Kanye, because it's very, very like all these crazy colors, all this awesome shit. This bear is exploding out of this college, but it's also futuristic looking. And he put that out after or before 808s and Heartbreaks. I think after.
You were asking the wrong person.
Really? You're not a big Kanye guy?
I don't listen to... I'm the worst with music.
Really?
Terrible.
What do you listen to besides metal?
Not much.
Really?
Listen to metal and rock, and I mean, I like a lot of like softer stuff, obviously. Anything within the rock realm is what I listen to.
Okay.
You won't find me listening to any electronic music in any capacity.
Well, do you enjoy it when it's on?
Yes and no.
See, that's one thing that I love about Angelo. If he's like if he's on the aux cord at a pregame, which by the way, how old is that phrase now? On the aux? I feel like
on the aux.
Yeah, I feel like people in high school now will have no fucking idea what the hell I'm talking about.
All Bluetooth now.
Yeah. Like I don't even know what they say.
Yeah, this defines my musical life. I've never been the guy on the aux cable.
Okay,
I don't want to be, and I shouldn't be.
See, I love being the guy on the aux cable.
Yeah, because you'd be good at it. So would Angelo and other people who just have a really good...
Angelo's great at it,
Well,
though.
because like
it's very, very fun to be at a pregame where he is on the aux cable. Because usually I like to be the guy on the aux cable. But if Angelo's there, I am giving him he has the full reins. I'm not even going to make a song request.
That's
like,
what I don't request anything. And if we're driving in my car with like other people who don't like the same music as me and him, I hand him the cable because I don't trust myself. Like...
Nice.
I'm not going to put something on that they like. I don't even know what to put on. but you go and actively look for new music, right?
Yeah. One of my favorite things do you know Bandcamp.com?
Yeah.
Dude, exploring through that is the fucking greatest.
I've heard it's great for that.
It's great. And they put out these live articles where it'll start off with like a description. I was just reading one about African disco, and it's like
African disco,
dude, so fucking good. I gotta pull up. I made a playlist for it. The playlist is called Disco Party, and dude, this song this is Sun Explosion. I'm just gonna play the beginning of it. All right, hold on.
Is it old?
Sun Explosion by Manu Dibango.
Oh, I love Manu Dibango.
Dude, Manu Dibango is my favorite artist. This came out in 1978.
Oh, it's old. It's from the disco era. I feel like I'm about to watch the news. It's like the intro. So, like, how do you find that? Just on Bandcamp?
It's on the front page of Bandcamp. Dude, you literally go on Bandcamp.com. There's all these cool links to various articles. I've read through, like, 90s East Harlem rap. Like,
that's what I mean. Like, you enjoy looking into all these things.
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah, see, I'm just so fucking lazy with it.
Yeah.
Like, I rarely find new artists, new bands. Like, I don't even look at my Discover Weekly.
Yeah?
On Spotify.
I honestly never look at that.
I feel like it just gets me wrong a lot. But like so many people have told me they find amazing artists on there. It's like all I have to do is listen once a week and maybe I'll find a new band I like. And I always complain that I don't have new music to listen to.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I guess my point is I'm so bad with that. So I wish I could say as someone who makes music that I'm a well-rounded music listener and I take in influences from all these different areas, but that's just not true. Like I just don't.
Do you think that doing that is important or no?
There are definitely artsy people who would say it's extremely important. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you'll watch interviews with really famous musicians and they'll be naming so many different types of genres that influence them and artists and like, oh, I'm influenced by Motown, even though they're playing something that's
house music.
Yeah, like completely different. And, you know, I could be cynical and be like, this is a bunch of bullshit. But it's probably true. And I don't know if it hurts me, but at the same time, I'm like, if I'm not interested, I'm not interested. And I can't really force it. You know, like you naturally want to go looking for new music and you enjoy doing it and hearing so much of this different type of music. And I kind of don't. So I'm like,
which is fun.
It's fine. And I mean, it works for me.
You know, there's a great interview with I think it's Louis C.K., but I could be wrong, where he talks about the difference between comedians who go and see stand-up comedy live and who don't go and see stand-up comedy live, and there are gigantic benefits to both. Because if if you are going and seeing stand-up comedy live, then you could subconsciously steal. You could subconsciously steal some sort of joke. And he actually might have been talking about Dane Cook and Louis C.K. because there's a famous case that was actually on when Louis had his show. He brought on Dane Cook and they like acted and like fought about it. But it's really funny. Yeah, for the listeners, if you want to look that up, just look up Louis C.K., Dane Cook stealing jokes, and it's a really, really funny explanation of it. Anyway, the people who don't go and see stand-up, they are their argument for it is they are 100% authentically them and they don't worry at all about taking from other people's shit. Like, they don't worry at all about stealing jokes. And when it comes to musicians and going and seeing music live, I think that it's important, but I think that it can be a little bit dangerous because you don't know. Let's say that you go and see a concert in 2010 and then 10 years later in 2020, 2021, whatever, you're making music and you have all this experience making music. Maybe you'll subconsciously steal something from that previous performance. Now, the reason that I do think that it's important is because it gives you goals. I saw Fish for the first time, like Phish, for the first time in Alpharetta, Georgia, late July. And although obviously they weren't up there doing a podcast, it gave me so many podcast ideas. It gave me these goals for what I want my podcast to look like. Their success and the way that they do their lighting, the way that they operate the show on stage is unbelievably professional that you can really only get to from doing it for such a long time.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do think it would only benefit me to do it. Mm-hmm. You know, to look for different types of artists to listen to. I'm sure if I listened through Kanye's discography over and over, it would influence me in some way. Yeah. You know? But I just don't I would have to make myself do it because I don't naturally really want to. I don't love hip hop or I don't love
that's
rap.
fine.
I think it's really good and I get why people love it. I'm not hating on it at all. I have nothing negative to say about it. Right. I just don't naturally love not only rap, hip hop, but most types of music. I can appreciate it though. You know, if it's on, I think it's really good and I get why people love it, but I don't naturally seek it out. You know what I mean?
I do.
But yeah, I mean, I do notice when I do get into something that's not like normally within my realm, and if I learn how to play it on guitar, it does influence the way I write.
Oh, interesting.
So,
interesting. Like what's an example of that?
Like, I'm trying to think. Like John Mayer.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like that's the cliche one to use, but like I'll hear metal artists say that John Mayer has influenced their writing before. Mm-hmm. If you listen to the band, they're really heavy, and you'd be like, "What?" But there'll be like certain soft moments within their music, or like little down moments where you could see where he could. But yeah, just having like gone through like a stage where I'm learning like his Born and Raised album. Which
fantastic.
Is like, it's so good.
Logan actually got me into
it also.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's very like Americana, like Southwestern feel to it. Mm-hmm. Not something I would normally ever listen to or be into, but I was super into it and I learned a lot of the songs on guitar. And then when I sat down to write clean parts, some of it did come through in that. And it just changes the way you look at the guitar.
Wait, clean parts?
Yeah, like non-heavy, non-distorted parts of the songs.
Okay.
You know, if it's a softer song or if it's a softer moment within the song.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does influence to some degree. So, I think that while I don't really go out seeking it, when it falls in my lap, it does only help me. Mm-hmm. So it could be beneficial to at least open my mind a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad. Actually, Ari Herstand talks about how important it is to go on what he calls inspiration quests. And what he means by that is purposely doing activities that have nothing to do with creating art just for the purpose of getting more perspective on what you can do in art. For example, he says, literally take yourself on a date with yourself to the movie theater and watch a movie.
Yeah, I've heard stuff like that before too. Yeah,
literally just like go on a hike. Like something that has nothing. Go on a hike and don't bring your phone or headphones. Like literally just something that completely takes you out of your element. Like, dude, you just went to Santa Fe. Have you been to Santa Fe before?
Santa Fe?
Or didn't you say you were in
Santa
Fe?
No, I was in, so I literally drove from San Diego all the way to San Francisco.
Okay. Damn.
I did
that's a long drive.
Yeah, so I did it with Eric Rubio's brother, Alec.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, I didn't even really listen to a lot of music in the last 2 weeks on that trip. And sometimes that's great for me. Like, I bet you when I go pick up my guitar and play this whole week, I think I'll feel refreshed and like ready to write more than ever because of kind of what you're saying. Like you do things that have nothing to do with music.
That feeling refreshed and being ready to keep going comes from these cool trips, like driving from San Diego to San Francisco. Have you been to California before?
Once.
Okay, how long ago?
Oh, I went to LA last year, so I've been twice, but I was just in LA. Like I didn't, I explored the entire coastline, and you know, we went to like the Redwoods, we camped on the beach, we did a ton of shit.
Nice.
It was awesome.
Nice.
So
how long were you there for?
I was in California for 2 weeks.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, so you camped in the bro, you literally just did an inspiration quest. Ari Herstand would be so proud.
I know, he would be.
Yeah. Here, let's take a quick break because I really have to pee.
I have to pee.
But yeah. Okay, cool. Quick break. Like, there we go. Yeah, sometimes that break from music or me podcasting is so essential. Like, do you ever feel like you're just in a rut with music? Because I feel like that about podcasting a lot sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's super common when you're trying to create anything, I feel like. I mean, anytime I've sat down and actively tried to write a song, I feel like I never end up using the ideas that I created like within that time. It's almost always when I'm just like feeling refreshed, sit down to play for fun, or like me and Angela will play for fun. That's when like the good stuff comes out. And you hear that from other artists too. Like all the best shit comes out when you're just kind of like relaxed and you're not trying to force it. You know what I mean? And it's so easy to like, you know, we recorded like 6 or 7 songs within a 4-month time period, which is a good amount, especially for us. And yeah, it was just like, I don't want to write music. I don't even want to play guitar that much right now. I just kind of want to like get away from music for a little bit. So in that aspect, yeah, I think it's super important to like step away from whatever you're doing, whether it's podcasting, music, for at least a little bit.
Do you ever feel like you can't? What I mean by that is you don't necessarily even want to play music right now, but you feel obligated to.
I'm personally good at not feeling that way. Like I go through really natural stages of like wanting to play guitar all the time, and then stages where I don't care to and I don't even feel guilty about it. But like Angela's a perfect example where he will play drums every day of his life, every week of his life. He's always working on his craft. He does take breaks, but it's kind of when he goes on vacation and can't play. You can't bring your drum set with you.
Right.
So yeah, there are those people who feel like they need to work on it all the time, whether it's like getting better at it or actually creating. And I'm not like that. I think it's just a difference he's definitely more motivated musically. And I think that, for him specifically, there's certain people who their goal is to be the best at what they do. And people like him he wants to be the best he could be at drums. So in that aspect, it's not only about creating music, it's also about getting better at your instrument. Me, I'm kind of at a point where I don't always care about getting better at guitar. Like, I'm happy with where I'm at guitar. I'll go through stages where I'm like, damn, I need to like
step it up.
Yeah, I'm plateauing.
Yeah.
Like, I need to at least sit down and learn a challenging song so it can bring me to at least a slightly higher level. But I don't have that burning desire to be better at guitar, and neither does Logan. We just like to write music.
Right.
Which is easier to step away from because you can go through these periods where you just write a ton and then you can step away from a little bit. But when you're like Angelo, where you want to be the best at what you're doing, you feel like you have to work on it daily or weekly. And
well, do you think he has to feel like he's constantly doing it, or he just constantly does it? Do you see the difference there?
What do you mean?
Okay. Let's say that you want to be the absolute best at something and you feel like you are obligated to constantly work on it, versus it's just who you are, that you are just constantly drumming. And it's
I think it has to be both.
Okay.
It's got to be a little both. Like, I would like to think that Michael Jordan had days where he doesn't want to go play basketball, but he's so driven to be the best at basketball that he makes sure he gets up and goes in the gym.
Right.
And Angelo definitely has days where he doesn't want to sit down and do some boring exercises that are going to make him better at drums. But
it's those days where you don't want to do it and you do it that elevates your skill.
That's the perfect way to put it. I feel like that's really what the difference is, because you would think that like playing an instrument's always enjoyable, but there's that really boring practicing aspect to it that no one wants to do, and most people don't do, which is why most people don't end up being extremely good at their instrument. I mean, I firmly believe that most bands or artists, it's so easy when you don't play an instrument to look at someone on stage and think they're incredible at their instrument, but there are a lot of guys who are just not that great at their instrument, and that's fine, and it's like...
You mean that are national headliners, you mean?
Yes, I firmly believe that. I think there are guys in touring bands that are not that great at their instrument. I mean, I know for a fact that is a case for a lot of them.
Yeah.
And that's fine because it's not everybody's goal. But obviously I think you should obviously at least be solid in what you're playing. And most people are if they're touring and stuff like that.
Yeah. Like just because you're not the greatest saxophone player in the world doesn't mean that you can't make millions of dollars as a saxophone player in a band.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's a case for, a lot of artists, but I guess to circle back to what we were saying, the people who really separate themselves musician-wise are the ones who are practicing and sitting down and doing the boring shit that no one wants to do. And that's the case in everything. It's like when you work on the finer details of things, it's boring, it's not fun, and most people don't end up doing it. But people like Angelo do it.
Yeah.
And that's why he's so fucking good at drums. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's next level good at drums.
Yeah, he's so good at drums.
He's so good. And I mean, we had a drum tech who he comes and sets up Angelo's drums for any of the recording sessions. And this guy like tours with like big artists and sets up, their stages and everything, like huge artists. Mm-hmm. And like he looked at me while Angelo was recording and he was like, your drummer's one of the best drummers I've ever watched.
Damn.
Yeah. He's like, obviously like Angelo's not being super flashy during these recording sessions, but he could just tell how solid he is and how on point he is. He's like, I could tell he fucking practices his instrument. Mm-hmm. He's on point. He's like, the reason why I said that about the musicians earlier is because he has told me, he's like, you'd be shocked some of the bands that go into the studio and they fucking suck.
Yeah.
It takes them so many sessions, so many, different takes
to get it right.
To get it right. Uh-huh. And Angelo knocks out in 3 takes. It's like unheard of for a drummer. And drums are I would say they're the hardest instrument because you got to be perfectly on time.
Do you think that joining a band that's already established, it is selling out? Like, let's say that John Mayer was looking for a drummer, and John Mayer discovers Angelo, and Angelo joins John Mayer's band, versus Angelo continues to make and write his own music and fully focus on that. If he joins John Mayer's band, we're going to stipulate that there's no chance that Angelo would be able to make his own music. And obviously, if Angelo continues to make his own music, then he won't be able to join John Mayer's band. Do you think that is selling out?
No. I think it's what your goal is.
Uh-huh.
Right now, Angelo's goal, and for everyone listening, Angelo's the drummer of my band.
Yeah.
His goal is to make it as a drummer, but also within a group that he's writing music with.
Okay.
So that's his goal. So yeah, if he were to just give up tomorrow and leave and go do that, I wouldn't blame him for it. But yeah, in a way, he would be selling out to himself because I know that's his goal.
Okay.
At least right now, it might change in a year or so. But,
what's your goal?
My goal, and I've talked to Angelo about this.
Yes.
Is I literally said this to him last week. I'm like, if you disappeared off the face of Earth tomorrow, I don't think I'd make music anymore, because I wouldn't just go join another band. I don't want to be part of the writing process with other people. I'm at that point now. I did it during college and stuff, and it was fun, but and I don't know. I love writing music with Angelo and Logan. Like, I love it, but beyond them, I don't see myself really going and joining another group. It's just not part of my goals at all. I think I would just, maybe the desire would come up again in a few years and I would start writing music again. But I would think I would try to do it on a much smaller scale and either do it myself or with like one other person. You know what I mean?
So what's the goal?
Oh, the goal is to gain fans for our own music. Mm-hmm. I want to keep putting out music, and hopefully, it starts to catch on and people enjoy listening to it, and we start to gain a little following. Mm-hmm. And then we could start playing out and doing things like that. I mean, we could start playing out anyways, but I want the two things to happen simultaneously, of course. So that's my personal goal. I want to keep writing my own music with them, putting it out, and find people who enjoy it. And that's Angelo's goal right now, too, and that's Logan's goal. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's necessarily selling out, because let's say in 2 years from now, the band just never gains much traction.
Right. And Kendrick Lamar is looking for an electric guitarist and finds you.
Okay, if you offer me that and my band fell apart, of course I would rather do that than anything else.
Right.
But I'm not good enough at guitar to where that is a reality. But Angelo's good enough at drums to where that could be a reality for him one day. So for him, I wouldn't consider it ever selling out if he wanted to go do that. I wouldn't consider it for me either if Kendrick Lamar wanted me. I mean, if the band's done and our goals are not there anymore, I would support any of us doing something like that.
Right.
But the reason I bring up Angelo specifically is because he's actually in a position where one day that could be a reality. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think anyone's hiring me and Logan to go be their guitarist.
Well, no, I mean, I guess just not at the moment.
We would both have to get much better at guitar.
Okay.
Because that world, I mean, I know just from living in Nashville, the studio people that get hired to go work with these artists, they're next level good.
Yeah.
Next level. I'm not bashing. I'm not bad at guitar, but
right. So these people who were, what's like the big, like the big boy, like ultimate studio in Nashville that's like impossible to get into unless you know someone.
For recording or for
recording?
Well, I'm not super well versed in this, but I mean, all the major labels have studios there. Like, well, Blackbird's a huge one.
Okay.
But technically,
oh wait, isn't Blackbird operated by Jack White? Isn't that his? Or because I know that.
No, his is Third Man.
Okay.
Third Man Records.
Okay.
Which I don't even know if they have a studio. I don't. It just might be a record label.
What does the local scene look like in Nashville? Are there, because I just dropped the name Shuffle. Shuffle's a great bar with a stage in Tampa. Every Tuesday, there's an awesome open mic, 20-ish acts every night go up. And then as you get better at Shuffle, the guys who run Shuffle will start booking you on actual shows in Tampa. You'll start performing at Crowbar. You'll start performing at Hooch and Hive, wherever. What does that look like in Nashville? Is there an open mic in Nashville that everyone says, yeah, oh my God, 20 years ago, I did 1,000 shows at the Easter or whatever the hell, the Easter, yeah.
There's definitely a huge space for that in the pop country realm. I mean, everyone in Nashville is like, oh, I'm a singer songwriter. That's what everybody does there.
Okay,
it literally just means they're a solo artist who is basically trying to make it in either country or pop country, and they play all these open mics around town, and I don't know if there's definitely certain open mics that are more highly regarded than others. Like there's one downtown called like the Stage or something that they all definitely want to play there because it's going to have the biggest audience, and then I guess you never know who's in the building type of thing.
Right.
But when it comes to rock bands, I don't know if there's that type of scene in a lot of places. It's like Nashville doesn't have the best rock scene, number one. Number two, I think rock has been and probably still is the type of genre where you just make it's not as structured in a way. Like, I think that it's basically you just need to keep pumping out music, and I don't know how much, I mean, I could be disagreed with on this heavily, but I don't know how much playing live matters when you're nobody, where in pop and country, I think it does matter more.
Oh, you're saying that as a rock artist,
yeah,
it doesn't matter as much playing live versus being a pop and country. Why is that?
Because I think in towns like Nashville that are structured for pop and country, you might be out playing open mics and stuff and actually get discovered that way. I mean, at least I've heard that's the case, which is why they all do it. It's definitely so saturated, but I think it's actually maybe a thing.
Okay.
I don't think that's a thing for rock bands. I've never
in Nashville?
I don't think anywhere.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I've never heard of a case where rock bands are playing a local show and it just like changes their world. You know what I mean?
Then where do rock bands come from?
I think that now it starts from building an online following.
Okay.
I think that's where the base of it is, which is why I always think it's more important, at least for us personally. I mean, there might be someone out there who completely disagrees with me, but I think that putting out music consistently, building an online following to where you actually have people who might come out and see you is more beneficial than just like mindlessly playing as many local shows as you can.
Dude, I wish that like some of the local characters in Tampa were here, like, and could talk to you about this, because what you just said is like so much in opposition to what a lot of people in the local scene out there believe, and like you're both right and you're both wrong. Like it's so like really you're both just right. Like it's so fucking important to build an online presence, and it's so fucking important to play live, because dude, when you build an online presence, a lot people from around the world will be able to find you. But when you build like a local live presence, you get amazing at performing live. Because dude,
no, you do.
Yeah,
you can't take that away. I agree. It's so important. But I guess what I'm saying from a gaining fans aspect, I don't think, at least from what I've seen, we played like 10 to 15 local shows in Nashville. I don't think we gained one fan from any of them.
Right.
I would like to think it's not because we suck. I just don't think people...
I'll tell you right now, it's not.
Well, I hope not.
Right.
But I just don't think there's that many people who are... Like, when you go to a local show, it's usually the other bands standing there watching you, any of their friends that came out to see them.
Yep. I was literally going to bring this up.
And any of the people that you invited who might not even care about your music. They're just going to support you.
Right.
So, you gain 1 or 2 fans at most? I would argue that playing those live local shows is better for getting good at playing live.
Yeah, 100%.
It's practice.
100%. Yes.
It's instead of practicing in your bedroom, you're practicing in front of people.
Right.
Which is obviously really important. But
I just want to say, I can say that about DJing. Like I have probably DJ'd maybe 20 or 30 shows, but maybe even more than that. If you compare my like the way that I look, the way that I perform now versus a year and a half ago, it's completely different.
Because you've gotten better at it.
I've gotten better at it. I've gotten better at like focusing on DJing while looking like I'm having fun, even if I'm like freaking the fuck out because I don't know what song I'm going to play next.
I mean, it's an act.
Yeah.
Like you learn how to do it.
Exactly.
And you get more comfortable and you enjoy it more, which makes you loosen up. But like I've never played a show as the singer yet.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I literally started singing for the band in March. So we haven't played a show yet. But okay, before we get to that, but basically all I'm saying is I agree. The right answer is they're both super important.
Yeah.
I'm saying personally for us right now, just because we want to like just put out as much music as possible, and we're all working like 9 to 5 jobs.
Right.
It doesn't really allow us to like do both often. You know, it's kind of right now. It's kind of like let's just pump out and record as much music as you can, write, and then we'll focus on shows later. And hopefully, in that time period, we've done marketing the right way to where people actually want to come see us. You know what I mean?
God, the 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
It's like it's so like it's so great because it provides a stable like environment for you.
Yes.
But it takes away so much fucking time.
So much time.
So much time. It's crazy.
Yeah, the other side of it is at least it gives you some financial freedom to fund a lot of things you want to do. Like it's giving us all money to
But then
record
those
and
things
make
that you want to do, like that 9 to 5 job sucks up creativity. I now almost never do a podcast after a full day of work. Because
it's hard to.
Dude, after a full day of work, I can't think.
Of course.
Everyone has a bandwidth with just like a daily bandwidth. And dude, at work, I'm like on the fucking ball, really, really focused on, getting people out of jail or working on like these complex plea deals or whatever the fuck. Like after work, maybe I'll go to the gym. Maybe I'll like go home and just completely veg out. But like doing complex, like getting deep into a conversation like we are right now, if like the reason that this conversation is going so well is because I got amazing sleep the last 2 nights in a row.
It's a Sunday.
Dude, it's a Sunday. I woke up. I had a fucking like green fruit smoothie with like kiwi and avocado and the pear. Like, dude, I feel fucking great right now. And right now, if I were to like, instead of do this, come up with like edgy marketing strategy for Grahm Radio, I would probably come up with like some cool ass shit. But after a full day of work, how about a full week of work on a Thursday at 5?
Exactly.
You're retarded. Like you're a dumbass.
That's the downside, obviously, of working the 9 to 5. But
yeah, and then Saturday and Sunday, if you have a girlfriend, it's like, you didn't see me all fucking week. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, like that's a false generalization, but you know.
No, but there's just, you're right. It puts it. it sucks up so much of your time and energy that it's hard to really hone in and focus on what you're creating.
Yeah.
100%. So that's kind of why it sounds like an excuse, but we're trying to write and put out so much music right now and focus on marketing it that, yeah, playing live and practicing for those shows and getting ready is just not where we're at in the moment.
Yeah.
We'll do that next year once we've kind of put out everything that we want to. But yeah, going back to the original topic, I just think as a rock band, it's super important to put out as much material as you can, good content, be consistent, like you were saying earlier. And really, I mean, the internet is...
It's so big. It's
so
so great.
The way you can market yourself now is so easy, and you could target people who have similar, interests to you.
I want to give you a hypothetical situation, okay? One thing I talk about on the podcast a lot is your relationship with time, and how I think that everyone has a terrible relationship with time. And a person who has a fantastic relationship with time is Sam Gellatry. Sam Gellatry is a 19-year-old producer from Scotland. His music is very ethereal electronic music. It's not house music. He's put out a couple house music songs, but that's besides the point. It's very, very, it's beautiful and electronic, and no one sounds like him. He just released an album called 4. He has been sitting on these songs for 3 years. He made these songs that are on 4 when he was 16 years old, which is cool, but more to the point, 3 years have elapsed. I have not been doing Grahm Radio for I'm like a year and a half into Grahm Radio, and he's been sitting on these songs for 3 years. Obviously, he was producing a lot longer than that, but dude.
So you're saying his relationship with time is terrible?
No, amazing.
Oh,
his relationship with time is so fucking good.
Why though?
Because he didn't immediately put it out. Okay, here's the hypothetical situation for you. You ready? You, Ange, and Logue record 20 songs.
Yeah.
Over the course of 3 years.
Yep.
You don't put a single piece of evidence that you're creating anything. Your socials might even go dead for this period of time, for 3 years. Meanwhile, during these 3 years, as you're creating these songs, you are making music videos, you are doing market research, you're reading books on how to properly market songs. And you have all of these songs, you have the album artwork done, you have the music video done, you have even maybe a little tour scheduled, a tour with videographers and photographers and shit. You build out a full-on experience for yourself to take place in the 4th year. Now, in the 4th year, you have all of this amazing art to put out. During these 3 years, you were working a 9-to-5 and saving 15% of your income. After these 3 years, the 3 of you take off 2 months of your work. So your rent is fully paid, you have no issues with financial shit, and you're 100% good and confident that you can take off, that you can go on a leave of absence from your work. During these 2 months, you go on this tour and release a new single every single day using content that you prepared 2.5 years ago. Dude, that's the good relationship with time. And I'm not one who has a great relationship with time. So I make a podcast and put it right
patient,
out.
Basically
Being patient. Dude, reaping the rewards of something that you've done 3 years ago, that delayed gratification, dude, that's betting on yourself.
Yeah, the only thing that worries me in that situation, you're really betting on yourself. Because I get afraid that if you sit on something for so long, you might end up hating it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, you have to be really happy with that product to be able to sit on it for 3 years and still want to put it out and be excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
I find that, at least with the 3 of us, sometimes when we sit on something for too long, we don't get excited about it anymore, which is why we've been pumping out like singles, putting them out while we're excited about the song. Like, for example, I have like 3 songs that are already recorded vocally.
Okay.
And then one, like, we have an order of them, like, oh, this one's next, then that one, like,
right.
And the one that's supposed to be next, I kind of text them, I'm like, I'm not really excited about that song right now. Can we work on the next one and maybe hold that one for later, and maybe I'll find a new love for it in the future. And they're kind of like, well, if we sit on it too long, you might just never like it again, then we never end up using it. Mm-hmm. So let's just work on it now and get it out there.
Well, then maybe...
So it's kind of in line with what you're saying.
Then maybe take yourself out of it. Like, you know, let's say that you record a song at the beginning of year 1, and at the end of year 3, you don't like the song anymore. You got to remember that in the beginning of year 1, you fucking loved that song, and you are not your fan. Your fan might absolutely fucking love that song. Maybe Sam Gellatry doesn't like the 4 anymore. Maybe he wasn't excited about it. But dude, like, you are not your fucking fan.
That's like a very good point.
Yeah.
That's being able to like to detach yourself from like, why are you making the music, and like, is it for you or is it for someone else to enjoy? Because other people still might enjoy it. And it's not like I hate it now.
Yeah,
it's not like
exactly.
I'm putting out something I despise and that I can't identify with. So you're right. Like, take yourself out of it. Yeah. And even take yourself out of it, especially when you're working with 2 other people. Like, what if they love it?
Right.
You know, if Angela and Logan still loved the song and I'm just iffy on it, like, it's still a good song. Yeah. Suck it up and work on it anyways.
Like, dude, be an artist while you're making the song. Be a fucking marketer when you're figuring out how and when to put out the song.
That's true. You could switch your mindset too.
Yeah, man. Dude, it's a tough game. But
dude,
yeah,
the relationship with time,
it's
like
so
you were
big.
Saying, it's huge because, I guess there's 2 aspects to it. I thought at first when you were mentioning this guy, you were going to say his relationship with time was terrible because he waited so long, and like, but I see what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Like, especially if you're still confident enough to put it out, and then it ends up being amazing, and it's this entire experience. And I think that it's important also. It kind of loops in with all that. Like you had mentioned, during that time period, you're saving money and you're giving yourself this flexibility in the future to take 2 months off of work and actually
and also, you know, reading books about marketing. And
and focus on all the other aspects that are important. Mm-hmm. And to tie all this together, just going even back to playing live a lot. I was listening to a podcast with, I don't remember who it was, but it was a member of a band.
Okay.
And she's a singer, and she had been a member of other bands before the band that she finally is in now has made it in their consistent touring band. She said one of her biggest suggestions to like young musicians is don't burn yourself out while you're young. You know, like basically she's saying the mistakes that her past bands made, not necessarily that they were any worse than the band that she's in now and finally made it, but they would just like go on tours when they weren't financially ready to. And like, it's hard to be profitable on a tour when you're an opening act. So like they burn themselves dry, you know, or they basically, they squeezed every piece of energy and
they don't show up to the show with a bunch of merch prepared to sell.
Not only that, just like you go on all these tours and you're playing all these shows and you burn yourself out and you're not making money. You're not focusing on making music, and then you're not gaining any fans really. And then before you know it, it's like, this isn't doable anymore. Mm-hmm. So she's basically saying, be patient and manage your time right, and use time to save money, to focus on the marketing, to focus on the music, to focus on all of the other aspects, so that when the time comes that you want to play out live, you can afford to, and you actually have invested the right resources into it, basically.
And then, dude, a big thing that we haven't even talked about is this. You're 26, right?
Yeah.
Okay. In 3 years, you're going to be 29. Like, what's the real difference in youth between a 26-year-old and a 29-year-old? Even, dude, let's call it 7 years. In 7 years, you're going to be 33. Like, most of the people on, like, and this is a weird thing to say, most of the people on, like, the main stage at, like, Ultra are in their 30s.
Yeah.
Like, dude, okay, like, look at Fisher. You've heard of Fisher, I would.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. How old is Fisher?
I have no idea.
Okay,
you would have to tell me.
Yeah. I have no idea. Why do I think that? I don't even know that. Like, you just said that you don't listen to house music.
I've heard of him though.
Yeah. He's huge. Fisher age. I'm gonna guess that he's 34 years old. I got it right. He's 34 years old.
Yeah.
Dude, Fisher blew up. What, like 4 years ago when he was 31? What was he doing when he was our age? Probably making music, probably figuring this shit out. I mean, I don't know. It would be great to ask him if I ever have him on my podcast. But dude, like, he started blowing up when he was in his 30s.
Yeah.
So if you can just focus, but when I say you, I mean me and everyone in like trying to create something. If you can just focus on getting the groundwork laid out, and then like, if you can focus on getting the groundwork laid out, and then you're really, really good at doing your shit.
Yeah.
Then, dude, like, fuck it. I would love to blow up in my 40s. Look at American football. Look at fucking American football. Yeah. They did all this awesome shit, and then they lived their lives, probably made a bunch of money, and then all of a sudden they have a bunch of fucking fans.
And now they're touring.
Yeah, there you go. And dude, I mean, was it luck that when they put their shit on Spotify, they blew up? Or did someone approach them and say, like, hey,
I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's sort of what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
Like, behind the scenes, who knows what's going on? But behind the scenes, maybe Sam Gellatry wanted to put the shit out when he was 16 years old, but someone saw the amazing, amazing opportunity
and said, be patient, you're 16.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's I even find myself doing it now because we haven't gained any fans. You know, we don't have a following or anything.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to...
I'll just say, neither does Grahm Radio. Like, I have, like, a handful of people who know me, who I know, who are listening to the podcast and they enjoy it and they like me and like they'll come out and support me. But it's not like Grahm Radio is the podcast. You know, like I've been doing this shit for a fucking year.
Yeah, it's not a long time.
No.
And I think it's like I get so self-deprecating about music that like if I'm feeling negative, I'll start being like, dude, I'm 26. Like I haven't made it by now, which is ridiculous.
Right.
But like sometimes when you're in that negative mindset, it's so easy to look at like the biggest fucking stars and they make it so young and then, without realizing that 99% of them blow up in their early 30s. You know what I mean? Like it's easy to be like, well, Blink-182 was playing, you know, huge festivals by 21 years old, but not everyone's going to be Blink-182, you know? And in a lot of ways, I wouldn't even want that. Like, would you have wanted to be massive by 21 years old?
Probably when I was 21.
But looking back now.
Looking back now on the mistakes that I made when I was 21, I was so stupid. I was a fucking...
Everyone's stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is why, I mean, that's like the whole child star thing. It's like people who make it too young, and even on a smaller level, like one of my favorite bands, Under Oath, they broke up like 6 years ago. They're back together now. But they said like one of the reasons they broke up is because they made it so young. They were like touring by like 19, 20 years old.
That's insane.
Like that's not natural, you know, like 19, 20, you're still figuring yourself out. You have no money. You're like, you could really burn yourself out, you know, if you're a touring band from 18 years old you could burn yourself out by 25 and then you're only 25 years old. Mm-hmm. And then,
you know, with this being said, you know who, and this obviously there's not one type of person. There's a lot of different types of people, but when it comes to people getting successful very, very young, it can fuck you up. You know who it didn't fuck up? Miley Cyrus. Dude, Miley Cyrus, I listened to her on the Joe Rogan experience. Yeah. Dude, she's so well put together. But
did she go through a lot of roughness in between being good
You
now?
make a very great point.
Yeah, because I think I listened to it also.
Okay.
I don't remember the details.
That was such a great point that you just made. Yeah.
Yeah, because she might have figured it out by now, and a lot of them do figure it out.
Yeah.
But like there was a lot of growing pains.
Yeah,
you know, because
I remember.
Because imagine just like not being able to live your just normal teenage and young adult life, like where you figure out so much shit. I mean, I'm not saying I figured out shit by now, but you know, between 18 and 26. Those are big, big growing years for you.
Yeah.
If your entire existence in that period is performing, having people tell you what to do, people using you because of who you are,
and then wait, I want to add to that. I want to piggyback off of what you're saying here. Also, people just yesing you.
Oh yeah,
just yes. You're the fucking greatest. Yeah.
You're put on this pedestal, and it's just.
There was an article about Justin Bieber maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
This is a perfect example
about how Justin Bieber's a pothead. Justin Bieber sits around and smokes weed all fucking day, and everyone in his crew is just giving him weed, and he just thinks that he's the shit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you're fucking 14 years old, Usher finds you on. It was Usher, right? I think it was Usher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usher finds you on fucking YouTube. Some kid out of Canada.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're like, every fucking girl in the world wants to suck your dick. Like, yeah, you're probably going to think that you're the shit. And are you wrong? You sort of are the shit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, if you're fucking literally making millions and millions and millions of dollars every single year.
It's a lot to handle as a kid.
Yeah, it's a lot to fuck. I mean, I don't know what that's like.
No one does.
You know what's kind of great, though? And we're really, really deep into this podcast, so I do feel kind of comfortable saying this. One thing that I've actually sort of started to experience, and I'm sorry if I sound like a fucking douche.
Oh, God.
But whatever.
like scared.
Going out to events in Tampa.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are sort of like, what's it called when you like
recognize you?
Oh, what I'm saying is like, what's it called when you see, like if I were to see John Mayer right now, starstruck. Yeah, like a lot of people are like, and this is, call this a fucking therapy session right now.
Well, you could,
a lot of people, like when I go out to these events, a lot of people are like, holy shit, like you're Grahm. Like I'm so like starstruck. And this is it's a very new thing to me.
That's never happened to me in my life.
It's weird. It's cool.
Anything.
It's cool. Actually,
I'm sure it is cool.
I've kind of felt like this shit. I took a girl on a date. And like I had already like hooked up with her a couple times, and I took her on a date to like one of these shows, and I had just done a podcast with the headliners of this local show, and all of these people were like, "Oh my god, I love what you do. It's so you're," and I'm like, "Thank you." And dude, if I was 19 years old. Okay, and that shit was happening.
Imagine that on the most grand scale that you can imagine.
Yeah.
On a world scale.
Like you need security.
Yes.
To keep girls from like literally trying to like shove your dick in their mouth.
Yeah. And like on top of that, you have so many people that fucking hate you because of it too.
Yeah.
You have both sides of it.
Exactly.
You know, and it's like, I mean, it's unimaginable, which is why I think I don't envy that at all. You know,
right?
Like, and a lot of people do. I mean, when you're young, you do.
Right. It's scary. It's scary when I can't even imagine like what it would be like to have like such fierce haters that people like send you like death threats and shit.
Yeah, it's just wild.
Like, you know how many death threats? You know how many bitches Justin Bieber has probably fucked so many dudes' bitches. Like Justin Bieber has probably fucked married women. You know what I mean? Like that probably happens all fucking day long, and then those married dudes are fucking pissed at Justin Bieber.
I mean, even like the most minuscule, like insecure guy on earth is just gonna hate Justin Bieber because of who he is. Yeah. You know, like literally just for being like a famous, talented person.
Yeah.
And but like I remember in college, if I were talking to like Angela or Logan, it'd be like, I bet you if we would said, "Oh, don't you wish you could be in like a touring band right now, even if you're just making a little bit of money?" And like the answer now would be no. I would have rather still had my college experience and like gone into my first job and had all the experiences that I've had, because I'm still young now. I've gotten to experience all those things, and now I feel like I won't miss out on much if that does end up happening. You know, it's like, if I do end up...
Correct. 100% correct. Yeah. Like, dude, we've both gone through very, incredibly similar experiences.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
we went to the same high school. Yeah. We basically went to the same fucking college. I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then, we've had the same experiences up to this point, and like, I don't regret it at all, and I wouldn't trade it for being able to make it in music earlier in my life. And I might never make it in music, but I still wouldn't trade away like the last 8 years of my life. And because, I mean...
Oh, wait. Oh, so you're saying, like, would you rather live the way that you lived for the last 8 years or been a touring artist for the last 8 years? Yeah. Okay, I'm with you.
And I'm obviously talking at a realistic scale, like a touring artist that's making okay money, because not everyone's going to fucking become Justin Bieber.
Like a touring artist making $45,000 a year.
Yeah. And my answer personally for me is no. Mm-hmm. Someone who just purely fucking loves music to its core and doesn't give a fuck about anything else would probably say I'm insane. But I just, having lived the last 8 years of my life, I wouldn't trade it for that.
I'll be the first to admit it. You know? I like being comfortable. I like knowing that at the end of the month, I'm going to have a big fucking check. I'm going to have a roof over my head, and I'm not going to have to worry about my next meal. I love that. And
of course, it's nice.
I'm aware that if I were to quit my job right now and just attempted to be a full-time podcaster, didn't even try to be a music lawyer, I would be fucking hungry for a long time. Eventually, I would definitely make, and I say definitely very, very on purpose. I don't say maybe, but like, if I were to just do podcasting for just fully commit to it, within 5 years, I would definitely be making a lot of, I mean, when I say a lot, I mean relatively. I mean maybe $40,000, $50,000 a year just podcasting. But I don't want to just make $40,000, $50,000. I want to make more money than that. I want to be able to afford a big house. I want to be able to like support kids. I want to have kids one day. And if I were just to quit and do podcasting full time, if you were just to quit and do music full time, how comfortable would you be having kids? Maybe triplets if you were making $45,000 a year.
Triplets.
Yeah, exactly. If all of a sudden you were about to have a kid and you were making $45,000 a year, that is not enough money to give that kid a comfortable life.
Well, that's the balance. Like,
and I want to have a kid. I want to have a family.
Course, yeah. And I mean, there's some people that argue that the true struggle is what makes you, push yourself to make it. Like, you have to be struggling and hungry every night. And that's what drove me to make it. There's that mentality. But I think there's obviously the in-between. And the in-between is what you're doing now, where you're still working a job, you're still making money, you're comfortable, but you're also clearly still passionate about what you're doing. You're still creating content. So, yeah. But then there might be some people who get too comfortable and just stop caring about creating, and they just never get around to it. But that's just a personality thing. And not only personality, it's just how driven you are to keep creating and want to make it. So I don't know.
And also how realistic you are.
That's where I'm super, sometimes I'm too negative. I'm kind of a cynical, negative person, as we've probably seen on this podcast. But yeah, I think I just try to stay realistic, at least for myself personally. And I think that's being realistic for me, at least. Like, I know that if at 20 years old, I said, fuck, and I joined a band that needed a guitarist and I toured, I know it would have burnt me out. Mm-hmm. I also know that, if I were to quit my job now and just go full, it's not realistic. Like, I'd be poor.
Yeah, exactly.
It would take forever to make
eventually
that happen.
You would make it happen. Eventually you would. But still, right now, eventually you'll make it happen. As long as you put in that effort.
That's where I keep my head at. I'm like, well, I think I could still maintain my lifestyle now and still make it happen. Obviously, we'll see.
I'm just gonna say on this podcast publicly, I would rather be comfortable for the next 10 years, or fuck it, I'd rather be comfortable for the next 20 years and then make it as a 46-year-old than be super fucking poor and broke for the next 10 years. And then when I'm 36, I make it. It's like,
I also
call me crazy, but you have a short life. I'd rather go on these epic fucking vacations.
I also think it's, like you were saying earlier, it's so saturated now. I think you kind of have to take the slower route, because if you just quit and go all in, there's so many players in the game now, you might not make it, and you might burn yourself out too early, like we were saying earlier.
Yeah, and then and then you're
just done completely.
And then what happens right now? What we're talking about is, okay, I just realized that I didn't make it. Now look at where you are on the chessboard of life.
Exactly.
Now all of a sudden, instead of building your resume, you just spent the last 5 years, creating art. Okay, but now, what are you going to start out? You're going to be a fucking receptionist?
It's just about taking the middle road, basically.
Yeah.
Is what we're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
You just got to keep your drive for what you're doing. And, I mean, a lot of that comes naturally, Mm-hmm. It's like, if from now through the next year, I just didn't care about making music anymore, and, as much as I tried to force myself, that's just the case, then that's the case. But, if your creative drive stays there, it'll stay there, and you'll keep making music no matter what job you're working during the day.
Big facts. Big facts.
So that's just kind of how it.
And then I guess maybe part of that middle road is not accepting the job that's going to make you stay up until 3 a.m. and wake up at 7 a.m. every day.
You find the in between,
right?
Also, there, it's like you find a job that still gives you a
life,
a good, comfortable life, but also isn't taking 80 hours a week from your life where you won't be able to work on anything else.
Mm-hmm.
You find the in between.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is also, I'm sure in law, you have to be careful with that, because there are lawyers who work 75 to 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then I'm sure there's some that work 40 to 50.
Yeah.
You might make less money, but it'll allow you
dude, that's what I'm doing right now. Dude, so I'm a public defender right now.
Yeah.
I make shit money.
You work for the city?
State? Technically the state.
The state.
Yeah. Well, actually so I'm a Hillsborough County public defender. So anything that goes through county court, I handle, and then anything that goes through circuit court, once I get a promotion, I'll also be handling. But the problem with being a public defender is that even when you get a promotion, you're still making shit money. So it's but the reciprocal is I have time to do shit like this. I have time. That's
my point.
Yeah, yeah. Like what I could do realistically, I could get all of my work done in maybe 2 or 3 days every week, and then as long as I show up to hearings and bring my notes, I'll be fine. As opposed to like what Nico does. Nico is a merger and acquisitions attorney at Holland and Knight, and I'll stop there because he obviously, I don't want to dock him. But everything that I just said can be found on hollandandknight.com. I've actually, you know, it's funny. I've actually emailed him, like to his professional email from my professional email, like at work.
Yeah.
Like just something like a meme or some stupid shit.
God.
And I looped in Lauren.
Does she work at the same firm?
No.
I should know that. No, she doesn't.
She doesn't. She works. She works somewhere else. I don't exactly know where she works, but I actually I looped her in. I CC'd her on something.
Oh my God! Are you gonna get him fired?
I hope so.
Okay, good. I mean, I hope so too.
They were fun. They were really fun on the podcast. They were on the podcast like episode in the 50s or something.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and there was like a full day of like just law school people on the pod.
Yeah.
And on the second episode, or on the first episode, Lauren was on, and on the second episode, Lauren was just like in my room making drinks for us, which is great.
You also had Mikey, Angelo.
Oh my God, for episode 50. That was fucking hysterical.
I listened to the whole thing. Yeah, it was so
Dude,
funny.
Mikey is so fucking funny. Dude, it's the video of you, I can't believe I haven't even talked about this. The one of you guys in the colonial outfits.
Yes.
That is so fucking hysterical.
It ended up getting on Mikey's TikTok 6.5 million views and like 1.3 million likes or something.
That is so fucking funny.
So, dude, it was so funny. And Barstool posted it.
Yeah, I saw.
So yeah, for context, we went to our friend's wedding.
Yeah, please.
In Vegas. Like they were like, two of our friends were like, we don't want to wait 2 years to get married. Let's just fucking go get married.
I'm assuming that they're also having like a big wedding with like family and stuff.
I think they're going to eventually,
point,
but they're just going to take their time.
That's
so
cool.
they were like, let's just go.
Sounds like they have a good relationship with them. Hey.
Yeah,
hey.
Exactly. So they were like, let's just go to Vegas and get it out of the way with like our closest group of friends. So 28 of us went to
it's incredible
Vegas, and for the actual ceremony at like the shitty little chapel, the bride said all the guys dressed 70s.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I'm assuming that it was like in some email or something, or like in the invite
group. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
She was like, all the guys dressed 70s. So Mikey, our friend, who's the funniest kid on earth, he's an idiot.
He's so fucking funny.
He was like, she didn't specify what century. So he starts like, he creates a separate group chat without Steven, the groom, and the bride, and all the girls going too. So like only the guys knew.
That's great.
And we all bought colonial outfits because he was like, we're doing 1770s. So then
so fucking
we showed up
funny.
Saturday morning in the Bellagio Hotel in Vegas. There's 17 colonial outfit guys just walking through the hotel lobby, and we get on the bus. They had no idea that we were
were they already on the bus?
They were waiting for us at the bus.
Okay.
So that's where they saw us, and we all marched in together. Like an army.
Dude.
And went to the chapel. They got married with us in literally like colonial soldier outfits. It was so funny. And then I kept telling Mikey, I'm like, Mikey, if you get someone to film it and put it on TikTok with this stupid little voiceover, that when you're, the Siri voice, it's like,
oh yeah.
So he put the voiceover like, when your friend's bride says to dress 70s but does not specify the century.
Yes.
And that was the video that blew up.
What were their reactions? So none of the girls knew either?
I think like Mikey's girlfriend knew, obviously, because she, she's always staying at his house and she saw the costume.
Yeah,
and shit.
yeah.
But no, everyone else kept it secret for the most part.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah, like Angelo's girlfriend didn't know.
Like Steve didn't know.
Steve didn't know.
That's so fucking
he had
great.
no idea.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it was so funny. Dude. But I mean, what's funny is Mikey tried when Barstool messaged him. He tried to tell them to credit South Boast, the band, for the video, and they said they would do it.
Yeah,
but they didn't.
That's fucked.
They credited him. Not that it would have done anything for us, anyways. It's not like people would have been like clicked on the profile and started following us.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
yeah.
But we tried.
Yeah, that video, dude. When I saw that, I was fucking laughing.
Funny.
Yeah, dude, that is fucking hysterical.
So stupid, but funny.
Yeah. Well, dude. This has been a fucking awesome podcast.
Yeah, it was, dude. I appreciate you having me.
Of course, man. Fun. I mean, dude, it's a long time coming. You know what I mean?
I know. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad we ended up doing it, though. One day we'll have to do me, Angela, and Logan all together.
Yes. Whether it's here or in Nashville.
Honestly, like.
Or backstage at Red Rocks.
They're going to be down here in
December.
Yeah. We could find a time to do it.
I'm down to. Yeah, it would be great to have, like, the fucking boys right here.
Yeah, it would be awesome. And do you have 4 mics?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Dude, we have mics too. We could always bring them.
Oh yeah. I'm good on mics. Like I've done podcasts with like 7 people. Like I can.
That's true. Now that you say it, I've seen you do it.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Dude, yeah, because I have like XLR splitters that we're getting off topic here. Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
we
and then dude, we can even set this up with like tripods and camcorders, and like I usually have a video switcher right here that I'm using. Like, yeah, dude, we're fucking money. Then I can have Emmett fucking being our Jamie.
Yes.
Yeah.
He left though.
He's a little cutie pie. All right, you want to give some shout outs to your people?
Angel Logan.
Yeah.
That's literally my 2 shout outs.
Great. I love it.
I love you guys, and let's make music together more.
Yes. All right. For the listeners of the podcast, you know where to find the pod if you're listening to this right now. On GrahamRadio.com, South Post, check out their shit. Also, check out Psych Montano. Like his album Psych 101 just hit a year. Check out Perception. The album Genesis, specifically the song Poetry in Motion. Bad Cameo. Ken Apperson. I love you all. For the listeners, I love ya. Peace.